Have you ever wondered what could happen if the walls of a palace, built to symbolize security and tradition, suddenly became the setting for a mystery that shook a royal family to its core? Imagine a moment so unsettling that even those known for their composure found it difficult to hide their emotions. Today on Royal Juice, we're taking a closer look at a story that has sparked widespread discussion and intense public interest. While many details have circulated through reports and speculation, what remains undeniable is the emotional weight such an experience could have on any family, regardless of their status. Stay with us until the very end, because every new development adds another layer to a story that has left royal watchers asking difficult questions. In the months following King Charles's coronation, the Prince and Princess of Wales dedicated much of their time to supporting communities across the United Kingdom. Joined by their children on selected occasions, the family projected an image of unity, resilience, and hope as they embraced a new chapter for the monarchy. For many observers, these appearances represented continuity and stability during a period of significant change. Prince Louis, known for his playful personality and cheerful expressions during public events, once again captured the attention of millions with his energetic nature. Yet behind those carefully choreographed appearances, reports suggested that the family was privately dealing with a deeply personal challenge. According to claims that later gained public attention, Princess Catherine found herself addressing an issue that no parent ever wishes to face. During a carefully prepared statement, she appeared visibly emotional while discussing concerns surrounding her youngest son. It was a rare moment in which the princess, often admired for her calm and composed public image, seemed unable to completely conceal the weight of her emotions. As cameras recorded every second, Catherine reportedly paused while mentioning Prince Louis. Those watching noticed the emotion in her voice as she struggled to continue reading from the statement placed before her. Prince William remained beside her, offering silent support without interrupting. His quiet presence spoke volumes, reflecting the concern of a father who was focused not on public appearances but on the well-being of his child. According to the reports, the central concern involved an individual who allegedly managed to breach areas believed to be secure before approaching the young prince on more than one occasion. What transformed the situation from a routine security concern into something far more disturbing was the claim that the individual used a private family nickname while speaking to Louis. If true, it immediately raised difficult questions about how such personal information could have become known outside the family's closest circle. The reports suggested that Prince Louis became increasingly anxious after those encounters. Activities that had once brought him excitement reportedly became sources of worry. Public appearances, ceremonial rehearsals, and several family engagements were said to have been postponed or removed from his schedule, while those closest to him focused on helping him regain a sense of safety and normality. Although many people continued to see smiling photographs released during official engagements, insiders claimed that everyday life behind palace walls had become very different. Small moments that once seemed ordinary reportedly began triggering fear. Hallways that had always been familiar suddenly felt intimidating. Unexpected footsteps echoed differently. Doors opening without warning caused moments of hesitation. Even voices belonging to unfamiliar staff members reportedly made the young prince instinctively search for either his mother or father. Those closest to the family allegedly noticed subtle changes long before the public became aware that anything was wrong. Catherine reportedly observed that Louis, once eager to race ahead through palace corridors, had begun waiting for an adult before entering another room. William also noticed differences in his son's behavior, particularly when Louis appeared uncomfortable around people he had previously greeted without hesitation. As parents, William and Catherine had spent years trying to provide George, Charlotte, and Louis with as normal a childhood as possible despite living under extraordinary public attention. Their goal had always been to balance royal responsibility with family life, creating an environment where their children could grow up feeling supported rather than overwhelmed by their positions within the monarchy. According to reports, One evening, Catherine entered Louis's bedroom after noticing he was still awake long after bedtime. Instead of sleeping peacefully, the young prince was said to be sitting upright, quietly listening to sounds coming from outside his room. Catherine reportedly reassured him that security measures were in place and that the family was safe. However, Louis allegedly whispered something that deeply unsettled her. He reportedly said that the stranger somehow knew the special name his family used only in private moments. Whether entirely accurate or not, that reported conversation captured public attention because it reflected a fear that extended beyond physical security. It suggested a child who believed someone had crossed into the most personal parts of his family's life. For any parent, hearing such words would undoubtedly be heartbreaking. Prince William reportedly experienced his own emotional struggle. According to sources, he initially trusted assurances that the earlier incident had been fully investigated and resolved. Later, however, as additional information allegedly surfaced, he reportedly questioned whether enough had been done. Some accounts suggested he privately admitted wishing he had asked more questions after hearing his son's initial concerns. Reports also claimed that Prince George and Princess Charlotte later shared observations that seemed to support Louis's version of events. Charlotte allegedly remembered seeing her younger brother become visibly frightened near a service corridor shortly after the first encounter. George reportedly revealed that Louis had begun writing down descriptions of unfamiliar faces because he feared adults might not believe him if he tried to explain everything verbally again. If those reports are accurate, they paint a picture of a young child trying to preserve details in the hope that someone would eventually take his concerns seriously. It also highlights how children sometimes express fear in ways adults may not immediately recognize. According to the circulating accounts, William carefully compared what his children remembered with official reports prepared after the incident. It was during this process, the reports claim, that inconsistencies allegedly began appearing. Certain details remembered by the children were said to be missing from the official documentation, raising additional questions about how the situation had originally been handled. Rather than bringing reassurance, these reported discrepancies appeared to deepen the family's concerns. If accurate, they suggested that what initially seemed like a misunderstanding might have involved larger failures in communication or security procedures. The story reportedly traced everything back to private rehearsal held within the grounds of Kensington Palace weeks earlier. During preparations for an upcoming engagement, Prince Louis was said to have briefly moved away from his siblings near an area believed to be restricted to authorized personnel. It was there, according to the reports, that an unfamiliar individual allegedly approached him while dressed in clothing resembling that of a maintenance worker. Witnesses reportedly claimed the individual crouched down to Louis's level before quietly speaking the private nickname. Moments later, the person allegedly disappeared through an access point that should have remained secured. The encounter reportedly lasted only seconds, yet those few moments would later become the center of an investigation that attracted enormous public attention. Louis reportedly rushed toward a nearby palace staff member and immediately tried to explain what had happened. According to the accounts, he insisted that someone he did not recognize somehow knew something deeply personal about him. However, the response he allegedly received suggested that the individual had probably been an authorized worker and that there was nothing to worry about. If true, that moment would later become one of the most debated aspects of the entire story, because it represented the first opportunity to investigate the reported incident immediately. Instead, according to the reports, life inside the palace continued as preparations for upcoming royal duties moved forward. Catherine reportedly sensed something was wrong later that day after noticing Louis unusually quiet. She is said to have gently encouraged him to explain what had frightened him. Before he could fully finish, however, reports claim another senior official reassured everyone that there had been no genuine security concern and that the child had likely misunderstood the situation. According to those same reports, Louis gradually stopped explaining himself, lowering his eyes and quietly accepting the explanation given by the adults around him. Yet, despite those reassurances, the fear reportedly remained. The story was only beginning, and according to later claims, what happened after that first encounter would raise even more difficult questions about palace security, internal communication, and whether crucial warning signs had been overlooked.